The night it happened was cold enough to make even the city lights look tired. Rain had washed the streets into mirrors of regret, and the traffic noise sounded distant, like the city itself was holding its breath. No one noticed the small figure sitting near the hospital gate, her thin jacket soaked, her shoes torn, her hands trembling as if the world had already taken too much from her. No one noticed her, until she reached out and touched a child who was never supposed to walk again. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet miracles that happen when humanity chooses compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. The boy's name was Adam. He was 7 years old, with eyes too old for his age and a body that had forgotten how to obey him. A year earlier, a car accident had shattered more than bones, it had broken futures. Doctors used careful words and sympathetic looks, explaining that Adam might never regain full movement in his legs. His parents, Daniel and Sarah, had heard those words so many times they echoed even in silence. Their life had become hospital corridors, therapy rooms, and nights where sleep came only after tears. Daniel was a man who once believed hard work could fix anything. He had built a successful business from nothing, but now money felt useless. Sarah, once full of laughter, moved like someone afraid of disturbing the fragile balance of their world. Adam sat in his wheelchair near the hospital entrance that evening, wrapped in a blanket, waiting while his parents finished paperwork inside. His small hands clutched a toy car, its paint chipped from being dropped too many times by fingers that didn't always listen. That was when the girl approached him. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. Her hair was tangled, her face smudged with dirt, and her eyes carried a depth that spoke of nights spent awake and days spent invisible. She had been living on the streets for months, maybe longer. No one knew her name. No one had ever asked. Hunger had taught her silence, and survival had taught her to observe people without being seen. She stopped in front of Adam, not because she wanted anything, but because something about him felt familiar. Children on the streets learn to recognize pain quickly. It's how they stay alive. Adam's sadness called to her louder than the city noise. Slowly, almost fearfully, she reached out and placed her small hand over his. The touch was light, gentle, human. Something passed between them in that moment that didn't need words. Adam looked up, surprised, not afraid. For the first time in weeks, his eyes softened. The girl smiled, not the practiced smile of begging, but a real one, shy and uncertain. She closed her eyes for a second, as if making a wish, then pulled her hand back and stepped away, disappearing into the rain before anyone could stop her. When Daniel returned and saw Adam staring at his hand, something felt different. Adam's breathing was uneven, his face pale but focused. Then, very slowly, something unbelievable happened. His fingers twitched, not the usual reflex but deliberate. His hand tightened around the toy car. Daniel froze. Sarah dropped the paper she was holding. They had been told not to hope too much, not to read into small movements. But this was different. Adam looked at them with a mix of fear and excitement, as if asking permission to believe. Doctors later explained it as a neurological response, a rare stimulation triggered by emotional shock or connection. They used long terms and cautious optimism. But Adam's parents knew what they had seen. Something had changed. The days that followed felt unreal. Adam began responding better in therapy. His legs showed signs of activity that hadn't been there before. Each movement was small, exhausting, but undeniable. Hope, once dangerous, began to creep back into their lives. Yet Daniel couldn't forget the girl. He returned to the hospital gate every evening for a week, scanning the sidewalks, the alley corners, the places where shadows gathered. He asked security guards, street vendors, anyone who might have noticed a homeless child nearby. Most shrugged. Some looked away. The city had taught them not to see. On the 8th night, he found her near a closed shop, huddled against a wall, trying to stay warm. She looked terrified when he approached, ready to run. Daniel knelt slowly, keeping his distance, offering his jacket without stepping closer. He didn't ask questions. He didn't demand explanations. He simply offered warmth. It took time, but trust always does. Through social workers and endless paperwork, Daniel and Sarah learned fragments of her story. She had lost her parents to illness. Relatives had vanished. Shelters were full or unsafe. The streets became her home not by choice, but by elimination. Her name, they learned, was Lila. Lila didn't understand what she had done. To her, touching Adam's hand had been instinct, nothing more. She didn't know about spinal injuries or medical miracles. She only knew that sometimes, when you see someone hurting, you reach out. That's how she had survived. As Adam continued improving, the doctors were careful but amazed. He stood for the first time with support, his legs shaking like fragile branches in the wind. Sarah cried into her hands. Daniel felt his knees give way. In the corner of the room, Lila watched quietly, her eyes wide, as if afraid the miracle might disappear if she looked too closely. They didn't adopt her out of gratitude. They didn't rescue her as repayment. They welcomed her because she belonged. Lila brought laughter back into their home in ways therapy never could. She reminded Adam of courage, of resilience, of the simple power of being seen. Life wasn't suddenly perfect. Adam struggled. Lila had nightmares. Healing is never a straight line. But together, they moved forward, one careful step at a time. Years later, Adam would walk into his school auditorium without assistance, scanning the crowd until he found Lila. She would smile that same shy smile, the one that changed everything. And now, before this story ends, we have a special request. Please comment below with one word that represents what this story made you feel. Hope, kindness, faith, or something deeply personal. Your words matter more than you know. Because stories like this aren't about miracles alone. They're about people, about the moments we choose to see instead of pass by, about small hands reaching out in a cold world, and the unbelievable things that happen when someone chooses to care. If this story touched your heart, if it made you pause, reflect, or believe a little more in humanity, please like this video, share it with someone you love, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps spread kindness further than you can imagine. Sometimes the smallest touch changes everything.